When you hear the sound of a whistle, what does that make you think about? In sports, it can be the beginning and end of a game. It demands attention. It also helps control the game. What if I tell you that this whistle indicated that something terribly has gone wrong? In my story, I'm sharing with you, someone actually died on the football field. A husband, a father, a coach. I want you to meet the Hickman family. They had just returned from a junior Olympics event where little Mike was participating in various sports. And he was so excited because he was playing on a new football team and he wanted to meet his teammates. Now, you know, in Texas, football is king, and there was no way little Mike was going to miss out on playing with his teammates. His mom, Kenyatta, sat in her usual spot to where she would video the games to where little Mike can watch it later. His dad, Coach Mike, who was an outstanding standout athlete, could have played for anywhere in the country, was a proud dad. He was there every step of the way. So now the game began. And for some reason, that game, it wasn't a regular game. Everything escalated so fast. Coaches began to swear. There was cursing. There was yelling. And as you know, most times parents will follow the lead of the coaches. Now, kids are beginning to chirp at one another on the field in a very disrespectful way. So basically, things were getting out of hand. And you know what? The officials did the right thing. They called the game off. Game over. That's it. We've had enough. But you know what? It still escalated. Then all of a sudden, bang, 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 shots fired. Everyone ducked. People hit the ground. And for a few moments, after a few moments, they got up, but one person didn't. Coach Mike did not get up. His wife, Kenyatta, ran to his aid to try to help him. And Coach Mike whispered in her ear, "I'm sorry." He said, "I'm sorry." And I want to give out a quick shout out to Kenyatta for giving me this story and just sharing this graphic details. The last words from Coach Mike to his wife was, "Make sure you found out who did this." This hit the news all around. It went viral. And as I got the news, I was disgusted. I was upset. I was hurt. The shooter was convicted for many years, but you know what? That can't bring back Coach Mike. And I thought of the old cliche, which meant that if not me, then who? And if not now, then when? Because I felt like I had to do something. Let me digress for a second and tell you about me. My name is Coach AD. I'm from a little small town called Waterproof, Louisiana. And basically everyone plays sports. So quite naturally, my three boys play sports at some point in time. And just like any other parent, that's how you get into coaching. And another thing, that I'm a basketball official. And I've officiated on many levels and I've seen a lot. But you know what? I got into coaching because it was a passion of mine. And I've realized at very early that it was a God-given talent. It became so easy for me to do. And like I say, my kids needed a coach. And throughout coaching as well as officiating, I've seen a lot of things that was quite unacceptable. Let me give you an example. What if you had a son, you ma'am, you had a son and someone would come to you, you would hear a coach grab your son and say, "What the hell are you doing?" How would you feel? And what about you? What if you had a daughter, she's just getting into officiating, and a parent in the stands yells out to her, "You're an idiot." How would that make you feel? So you see what I'm saying? And I can tell you a couple of incidents where I was involved. I asked security to escort me to my car because I did not feel safe. There was another time when I got a police escort out of the city limits because he heard some things in the stands and he just felt that, hey, we need to make sure you get home. So, but there are some great benefits to playing sports if done right. There's the sportsmanship side of it, social skills, self-esteem, confidence. You learn how to win as well as you learn how to lose. But most importantly, why kids play sports, they want to have fun. Kids want to have fun. However, in an unhealthy environment, it's totally opposite. Bad sportsmanship, low self-esteem, you're lacking confidence. Kids don't develop the mindset of knowing how to win and even how to lose. At the end of the day, guess what? Right. They are not having fun. On to that, it creates some problems. And two problems that I would think of, that there's a shortage of officials. And you know what? It's not a Dallas problem. It's not a Texas problem. It's a nationwide problem. And you know why? Because officials do not want to take the verbal and physical abuse, basically misconduct. And that's why 80% of officials, they quit after a couple of years because they say, I don't want to do it anymore. And then there's the aging workforce. I'm going to leave it up to you to guess my age, but I tell you, at some point in time, I'm going to retire and step away from officiating. And let me let you in on something. If you have development teams, chances are you're going to have developing officials. The kids make mistakes, the officials are going to make mistakes. But you know what? Parents and coaches expect officials to be perfect. And guess what? The common denominator, not having fun. Another example, and the most important one, is why does kids quit at such an early age? And that's easy. The number one reason, again, is they're not having fun. And that's why they play. Kids want to have fun. And how about the stress? How about pressure of winning? There's a side backstory I'm not going to get into, but adults are actually betting on kids winning games. And can you imagine the pressure put on a youth at performing at a high level? The lack of time is another reason. My son quit playing baseball during the summer because they were practicing 4 days a week and games on weekend. And all he wanted to do in the summer is play video games and hang out with his brothers. It's basically too much. And lastly, you know what that leads to? It leads to burnout. Not physical burnout in most cases, but mental burnout. And that's why 70% of youth basically quit playing organized sports, I should say, at the age of 13. So I've talked about the problem. Let me just speak a little bit on some ways that we can overcome this. And the first one is mandatory training. And that's for everyone. That's for parents, that's for officials, for coaches, and players. And that should be a non-negotiable. You should be trained on how to conduct yourself. And it should be a zero tolerance on this, meaning that if you cross the line, suspension should be in place, ejections, but things must be done. Doing nothing is not the answer. We must also increase security. I've seen some security in some places, but it's not enough, because after the game is over, guess what happened? Parents and coaches, adults, they go out in the parking lot and things escalate from there. So those are some things that we need to champion to save our kids when it comes to youth sports. I've talked about Little Mike, and let me give you an update on this student athlete. This kid is an all-A student. He continues to play. He runs track. He plays football. He loves fishing, hunting, horseback riding. He's a thriving young man. And I want to let you know, at the top right now in Dallas, Texas, at his age, he's the #1 ranked quarterback. Go Lil Mike. So my call to action to you is pretty simple. I'll ask you, when was the last time you attended a youth sporting event? Was it entertaining? Was it enjoyable? Or was there a lot of chaos? It left a bad taste in your mouth. How was the coaches coaching? What about the parents? How were they cheering? Let's not leave out the officials. Were they conducting themselves in an orderly manner? Those are things that we need to champion again and focus on. And we must lead by example. The adults started this problem. We have to fix this problem. Training and education over and over again. We can't get away from that. If you heard the saying, see something, say something, do something. We can't sit this one out at all. There have been some movement. It's the Senate Bill 2929, which is called the Safe Stands Act. That's put in place to where officials can eject parents, spectators for any reason deemed necessary. And that's great, but that's still not good enough, because that's for school functions. It does not protect, like, for recreation, events, tournaments, and things such as that. So that needs to be extended as well. But we're off to a good start, but some more attention needs to be put into that. Here's an illustration of when myself as a coach, I felt I got it right this time. I really got it right. This is a young man. His name is Stephen Sullivan. I met him when he was 8 years old. And I followed him all the way up. I coached him in basketball, in football, and he just got better and better. All the way through high school, he got a full ride to LSU, for the LSU Tigers, to play football. And while there, he got his master's degree, and he was drafted by the Carolina Panthers. And he sent me this autographed jersey, just thanking me for being his coach, being at every step of the way, and being a great mentor to him. So for me, that's my trophy. So as I conclude, I hope there was something that I said that was a game changer for you. And next time you are at an event, I hope you look at it totally different, the way that you coach, the way that you cheer, and the way that you lead. This message is dedicated to Coach Mike Hickman.